Hi, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever it is that you're watching this. What's happening, friends? Welcome back again to the Laser Design Challenge, 1 hour with Rayjet and Miguel, the best designer in this building. My name is Don. I've been with Trotec for about 2 years. I'm the consumable manager here in Canada. So if you have any questions about consumables as the stream goes on, I would ask that you shoot them to me. To my right, I suppose, I can't really tell, is the very talented Miguel Machado. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm not that talented, but I can do stuff in an hour, so that's pretty cool.
That
You
is
can
pretty
do it
cool. That
constantly.
takes
Yeah,
talent, buddy. That takes talent.
you can make some money out of this.
Well, we're going to teach people how today, hopefully, a little bit.
Yes. And I
We
don't
thank
engrave
all of you
grapes.
who are tuning in. Yes, we thank all of you, speaking of which, who are tuning in again this week. We're so happy to have you back. Anybody who's tuning in for the first time, feel free to say hi in the chat. We're always watching the chat. We love your questions on Trotec, on lasers in general, on engraving. Basically, a sort of rundown of what we're going to do is we're going to challenge our designer, Miguel, to create a product within an hour. He's going to do probably a really simple version of the product first to just show you what's capable on the Rayjet, and then we're going to ask for you guys to give us a suggestion and really throw him a curveball and see if he can create something sort of off the top of his head within that sort of theme. This week we're going to be making a 3D shadow box. So we'll be able to show you kind of on Etsy, what it is we're thinking, but it's a really, really cool kind of multi-layered product. We have some people joining in the chat. Hello from Morocco. It's very good to see you. Thank you so much for watching. Miguel, could you tell us sort of what was your inspiration, in talking about shadow boxes specifically? They're a really cool project, but not one that I was really familiar with until you showed them to me.
I remember looking for light boxes at first and doing something with acrylic, but I found that to do a light box in an hour is kind of hard because guess what? You got to put the LED on the back and light it up, right? So
True.
I kept looking for it, and I found the shadow box, and I kind of like the idea of like a kind of canvases sculpture kind of painting with layers and stuff like that. It's pretty cool and
Absolutely.
pretty easy to do. That's another like good thing. It's not that complicated, even though it looks like it's complicated on a first look, but it's pretty easy. And I'm going to show you guys. That's really straightforward.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited. Hello from India. Hello again, Amy. So happy to have you back again. Trotec rules. Thank you so much. We agree, as you can see. Good morning, LCD. Welcome back. So happy to have you back again this week. I think we're probably going to get started before too long here.
Yes.
To give you guys sort of an insight into the theme we were looking at, we were thinking probably, landmarks. So we'll have Miguel do, as you said, a basic shadow box for you with the Rayjet to show you kind of what might be possible just within, a basic set of materials and stuff on the Rayjet. And during that time, if you guys want to come up with either a fantasy landmark or landscape or even a real world landmark or landscape that you'd like to maybe challenge Miguel to make into a shadow box, we'd be really, really excited to see your suggestions. We were messing around with some stuff during the week. Miguel had some really cool ideas and different things that he put together. So I think he's up to the task. I think he's up to the challenge. Am I right in saying you're going to be using mostly veneered wood products today, Miguel? Stuff from our veneered wood?
No, like mostly, but I think all of them are veneered wood.
Gotcha. What is it about the wood that you like? Using with the Rayjet? It's been a part of a few of our designs, and I always think it comes out really, really nicely.
Yeah, in general, I always liked wood, as in smell and the feeling and the colors, and when you engrave on it, like the burnt look to it. So it's kind of a personal preference. To shadow box in general, I think it looks better if you're doing on wood because the idea is that you're casting shadows to the back of the frame, right? But yeah, that's basically it. I don't have any specific design reason for using wood besides this my preference. I like that.
Yeah, I like it too. The smell, that like wood smell that it makes when it's being laser burned, is like one of my favorite things in the office. That's a weird thing. Okay, I think if you're ready to get started, Miguel, I will hand it off to you. I think we're gonna hit the 5 minutes here that we've been live. So let's go for it. Let's make a shadow box.
Absolutely. So, guys, I don't know if you guys know that, but I'm from Brazil, and I want to do a landmark. So why not do something that is from a country? So I thought about doing Crescent Redeemer, which is well pretty known landmark, one of the seven wonders right now, right? I'm pretty sure, like the modern seven wonders.
Okay, if it's not, it should be.
Yeah, I think it is. But anyway, so it's also the highest point on Rio de Janeiro. I'm not from there, by the way, but it's kind of like simple and at the same time a challenge because there's nothing behind it, right? So it's you have to give the look and also the how imponent Jesus looks on that like statue, right? So anyway, I'm gonna do what I normally do, right? So let me get the screen here. Is looking for keywords, right? Which was Christ Redeemer icon vector. Why? Because if you just put like Christ the Redeemer, of course you're gonna see a lot of pictures, and they'll all be kind of the same. And if you put
I hadn't
just
thought about that, but that's a good point. Yeah.
yeah, and if you put just vector, you're gonna see a lot of 3, 4 color vectors that I don't want to use because it's gonna take too long, right? So icon normally gives you black and white icons that you can use and like vectorize out of a JPEG real easy, real fast. And I chose this one here. Okay. Let me zoom in for you guys to see. It's a 3-color one, but I'm gonna simplify it for just one color. 2 colors actually, black and white, right? But we want to engrave and cut this one. So I'm gonna trace it with black and white logo option. Put image trace because I don't like how it's like traced right now. I'm gonna change some stuff here and there, some more paths, look better. All this, like, it's on a click of a button. You don't need to think too much about what you're doing when it comes to auto tracing it, but it's good to always clean it up a little bit on the auto trace options. So
hello to everyone joining the chat, by the way. Sorry to interrupt Miguel from Netherlands or from Canada. I know we mentioned this most weeks, but one thing we want to stress too is Miguel's using Illustrator here, but I mean, we're familiar with CorelDRAW and a lot of the other design softwares that'll work just as well with the Rayjet or any of our lasers as Illustrator does. So feel free to shoot us a question about, your design software of choice, and just know that you could do, this same project using Corel or Inkscape if you chose to.
This here on the gray background. Cool. So another thing that I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna copy it, right? So I made a copy with a shortcut. And why do I want to copy? Because I want something to be this to be cut, right? So I'm gonna join everything and transform this in a cut line. So this can stand right behind the vector that's going to be engraved. Now, so what's the idea behind the Shadowbox? I'm doing the hard way, right? It's creating your own frame. It's easier, honestly, in my opinion, it's easier for you to buy a frame, which could be like $2, and just put it on top of the other, each part, and it'll be done like real fast. But here, I'm going to do the frame myself because I can do that. That's basically it.
Like we said, very talented.
I don't have any reason to.
You have a friend here in the chat, Miguel, who says he uses Illustrator always.
Oh, I'm not going to give my opinion about that, but yes, you're on the right path.
So just a quick reminder here, you guys, while Miguel's working on Christ the Redeemer, that after we finish this first Shadowbox, we're going to challenge him with a landmark or a landscape that's either real world or even a fantasy one, if you want to give us something that's sort of a more fantasy themed. So, start coming up with your suggestions now. Anything you throw into chat, I'd be happy to gather them up, pass along to Miguel.
Please. So now that I put it here like in a frame, let me show you guys better like this. I want to do the background, right? So I'm going to go for Christ the Redeemer and images and take a look at like the overall landscape that I want. As you can see, he's the tallest part of those mountains. So there's very few things behind him on a flat surface. But well, since this is my thing, I'm gonna put mountains behind him because why not, right? Why not? So I'm gonna do some shapes here pretty fast, right? This all will make sense when I cut, I promise.
So if you're adding in these mountains that you're inventing, does that make this a combination of both a real world landmark and a fantasy landmark?
Yes, it does. Okay, let me see this. Okay. So I'm always referencing to the frame. Sorry? Go ahead.
No, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, please.
I'm always referencing to the frame when I'm doing these mountains, because believe me, they're not gonna show up. You can see them coming together like this, but we're gonna cut each mountain separate and we're gonna put it on top of the other, right? So you can be loose when you're doing this. And I'm gonna put the itty bitty sun here because I like it. And this one's gonna be engraved, and so it's gonna be black. Okay? So whatever is line work, and put back on the white surface. Whatever is red is gonna be cut. Whatever is black is gonna be engraved, and around the Jesus added, it's gonna be cut as well. Okay, so it's basically it. I'm gonna group, copy, because always have a backup of a part that you feel like it's finished, even though it's not finished in total. And I want this to be 5 inches, right? 5 inches, 5 inches.
So this was sort of a standard size that we saw in a lot of shadow boxes on Etsy. I'll show you guys some samples here in a minute, but 5x5 was sort of a format that we agreed on sort of ahead of time to sort of match against a lot of contemporary other designs.
Yes. Also, it's easier for you to do multiple shadow boxes in one sheet,
right?
With 5x5, I believe so. And you can go to 6x6. It's also good enough. All right, so now we're gonna prepare this for cutting. And it's kind of tricky doing that way, because if you're doing a canvas, if you bought the canvas and you have it in your hand, this will be it, right? You send each piece separate and you're done. However, since we're doing our own canvas, what we're doing is we're gonna separate by part. So I'm gonna separate here, and I'm gonna take part 1. So part 1 is gonna be Jesus engraved and cut. So this is gone, this is gone, and this is gone as well. So I have this shape and this red shape here that I want to be joined. So I'm going to Pathfinder and unite. So they're on one shape, and I also want this shape and this shape to be joined. So I'm going to unite. Oh boy.
It's a bit tough to see against the gray background, Miguel, but to get sort of a general idea of what you're doing, so you're just sort of building the different layers that will make up the different parts of the shadow box.
Yes. And gotcha. It's kind of problematic sometimes because you're gonna find this is the correct one. Exclude, right? Because stroke lines in general, when you're joining them the way that I'm doing it with closed shapes on Illustrator, they can be kind of tricky, and sometimes when you just put unite, they won't unite at all. So you search for other ones until you find the correct one. This case was exclude, right? So I have to explain this because this is pretty important. So the logic behind what I did here is that if you guys can see this area here, this area here, right around Jesus, this will be cut through, and we will have a shape of a frame with it attached to it, right? we wouldn't need that if we had the frame. We could just cut the redeemer part and put it on top of the frame, and that would be fine. So for every single part that we're gonna cut and engrave, we have to do this, right? So it looks a little bit complicated, but once you understand the logic behind it, it's pretty easy, pretty fast, right? So okay, go back to here. So for time's sakes, I'm gonna send this one to print already because it's gonna take, I think, 3-5 minutes. This one, the like slowest one to do.
Right.
And make sure the element settings are okay. Test maturity, yeah. Everything is perfect. And send. And Rayjet Manager is on. So for the first part, I want, let me just show you guys here. No, connect it. Then I'm gonna change the camera to show you guys the materials that I'm gonna use for this one. But okay. But for the first part, I'm gonna use I'm gonna use a dark wood. Okay, so let me go back to stop sharing. I'll show you guys my camera. Okay, so I'm gonna use dark wood, probably this one here.
For that first layer, the one with the statue on it?
Yes, because I think it engraves better, right? But you can use whatever color you have. I have like 3 different tones, like medium, like clear, different veneer woods that I can use.
Miguel is very spoiled, you guys. He's got access to all the materials we have here at Trotec, so he's got the pick of the litter for whatever he'd like to use. Miguel, while you're changing over the camera, I'm just I have a great question here from Emil who has a Rayjet and wants to know. So he's saying it takes him usually about 4 passes to cut 4mm wood with 100% power and 2% speed. He's wondering if there's a way to reduce the passes and maybe even a way to reduce the damage on the surface of the wood. So I assume, Emil, when you're talking about damage on the surface of the wood, you're probably talking about sort of a burning or sort of a charring. One thing I can say in my very limited experience before I hand it over to Miguel, who's the real expert, if I'm honest, but I mean, masking on the surface of wood is a great way to reduce the sort of burning and charring that you'll see. If you use just a basic, we have a basic masking tape here that we sell, but even a painter's tape or a masking tape that you can get will work just as well. If you put that on beforehand and then do your engraving and your cutting and then remove it at the end, you'll see far less burning on the surface of your material.
Okay. And my tip for that is you're too fast. 2% is a lot of speed for cutting, especially 3 mil or more, like 4 mil. You should be on 0.5 or 0.3, something like that, if you want to cut in one pass, right? The cutting in general has to be slower because it's like a car at 120 miles per hour steering on a curve, right? Like, you don't want that. It's gonna be hard. So you want to be slow, and the thicker the material, slower it has to be. So you can definitely do all these woods are 3 mil, and I'm gonna cut it in one pass. You know. So
I assume maybe he was going faster to try and avoid as much burning. But as you said, you try a combination of a slower speed, like Miguel's suggesting, and maybe some masking. I think that might really solve some of the burning you're seeing and the amount of time to cut it.
Yes, and like, to be honest, it will burn anyway because it's wood, right? And it's a laser.
Right.
That's the whole process of it. But my settings here, 70% power, 100% speed for engraving, 75% power, and 0.6 speed for cutting. And I think it's kind of too powerful. But since I want to do always in one pass, and okay, let me put here to cut. So it's gonna take 4 minutes. All right. So since I want to do all in one pass, because we don't have that much time, right? I put a little bit more power. So sometimes the extremities are a little bit charred, but I mean, it's fine most of the time. It doesn't look bad. Normally, like, it burns a little bit on the back, but you're never gonna see the back.
Right.
So
With some woods, it might actually even add to the sort of. So Emil's
Yeah,
asking,
0.6.
0.6 speed. Yeah, that's exactly right, Emil. Yeah.
Yep.
So we'll show you
0.6.
the outcome, obviously, when Miguel takes it out of the laser. But we would challenge you guys as well. That's a good sort of segue. Is if you would like to try the 1 hour design challenge at home yourselves, we would absolutely love to see the sort of stuff that you come up with. That's a great question. If you encounter anything like this, don't hesitate, to post not only on Instagram or Facebook and tag us with what you make, but then throw in any questions that you encounter during the design process. And we'd love to have Miguel sort of get back to you guys or myself and see if we can solve some of those problems for you. We also put in the chat, though, you'll find a link to a video on our YouTube that helps you find the perfect material settings, particularly if you're using a material that isn't from Trotec. We'd recommend checking out that video. It's got some good tips and tricks for finding the perfect speed and power mix. Just while you're engraving, Miguel, if it's all right, I'd like to pop over to Etsy here. Just for anyone who's never made it, Amy mentions that she's never made a shadow box, and I'm sure she's probably familiar with them, but still, I'd love to be able to show you guys, just for anyone who isn't familiar, what a shadow box is, and then to give you an idea of, sort of what we're looking at in terms of, pricing, exactly. So I pulled up this one here, which is sort of similar, I think, to, what Miguel's final product is. I don't like this one as much as Miguel's, but I'm slightly biased. But you'll see here, I mean, this is a piece that is roughly about the same size, I believe. It may be slightly larger. But again, as Miguel said, you've got a hand-cut frame, and then you're inlaying each of the individual layers in different colors of wood. What you're going to get is this sort of three-dimensional effect that you'll see in Miguel's final piece. But this one is selling for, I mean, almost $300 Canadian in this particular case. Obviously, it takes a lot of hard work to create something like this, but it's also worth noting the sort of prices. If you're thinking about creating something for a small business, what else is out there that you're going to be competing against, and not to mention what sort of unique ideas or what sort of unique spin can you bring to it. So here's one that's obviously Peter Pan inspired. Same sort of basic idea, right? A frame on the outside and then layering them in. One thing we did get some emails about during the week, I should say, there were some people asking if we could break down, if they were to purchase a Rayjet, what, sort of might the ROI breakdown look like? How would you price a job like this if you were thinking about, making your own shadow box in this particular case? But this is a sort of good, basic thing to keep in mind at all times. I put together just a really simple little piece for you here that I can show you. Just really quickly, if Miguel will indulge me. Keep in mind that this is sort of just very generous because my math is sort of weak, so to do it live on stream is not a challenge that I wanted to undertake. Miguel's in charge of the challenges here. I'm just in charge of trying to be funny. But basically, I wanted to give you guys sort of a general idea. If you like this idea, then definitely let us know. We'll be happy to keep doing it as the weeks go on. But for the materials that Miguel's using, he's going to have 4 layers in the final design. So, for each of the layers, he's paying roughly about $5, and that's our list price. I mean, as a Trotec customer, you're actually going to pay less than that, but again, just easy numbers for me. We're also saying, roughly a $40 per hour labor opportunity cost, essentially. So an opportunity cost, Miguel could be doing anything right now, but he's chosen to do this job. So we want to charge the customer something in relation to that. If this job's going to take roughly, let's say, 15 minutes to make, that's $10, obviously a quarter of an hour. That leaves us with a total cost of $30. And, based on those ones we saw on Etsy, some of these shadow boxes, particularly when they get really intricate, can go upwards of $200 or $300. But we're saying, maybe this one is $60. Maybe you're new to the market. Maybe it's something that you're just investigating, whatever it is. Obviously, you could price it higher. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on the price, but we've priced it at $60 here just to give you a general idea. So you're making a profit in this case of about $30 per shadow box. That Rayjet that Miguel is using right now, well, you wouldn't get that one. If you want that one, we'll have Miguel autograph it and send it to you. But realistically, a brand new Rayjet, they cost about $300 a month. So realistically, at $60, which would put you in a very competitive spot for shadow boxes on Etsy, with 10 units, you're able to pay for the entire Rayjet, or 2.5 hours worth of work if it's 15 minutes per shadow box. And I mean, given that a lot of the prices we saw on Etsy were higher, certainly I think that's something that you could trim up. But you're looking at something where within 10 units, you're able to break even, and then everything you're making after that is just, profit in your pocket. The Rayjet is a really, really affordable machine, and realistically putting together 10 units each month hopefully won't be, it's not only a drain on your time, but it'll be fun. You know what I mean? You have an opportunity to create unique and fun stuff like Miguel's doing. But again, guys,
Right.
we wanted to share this with you, but at the same time, if it's something that you'd be excited to see more of in the future, then, let us know. These sort of breakdowns are fun to do, and we hope they're helpful.
Right, so let me show you guys something. Let me go back to my camera here. It's cutting again. So I made this itty bitty mistake, right? Like I took it out before I should. For some reason, I thought it was over. But it's gonna look a little bit like this. It's gonna cut again. It's cutting again, right? But at the same time, I finished separating. Let me share my screen. Everything that I needed for all the other pieces. So they are here. I'm gonna cut 1, 2, 3 more, right? And they'll all have this kind of join shape. So I'm gonna pop off everything that's inside, and this one I'm not gonna pop off anything because this is gonna be the background. Let me just check here. Start cutting. Yep, start cutting. Yeah, so this is the whole idea behind it, right? Like if you want to do your own frame, you have to keep the frame always in mind when you're doing each piece. And that's basically it. Like right now, I'm waiting for it to finish and show you guys how the end result is going to look like. But if you guys want to give me some suggestions of what you want me to do, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly stop on this comment from Emil because I'm so happy to hear it. He says he works at a school and he loves his Rayjets, and so do his students. This is something that we've really been pushing in the last year. COVID has unfortunately sort of derailed some of the projects that we had going, but it's something that's really important to us moving forward. I think designing is not only fun and self-enriching for you on the sideline, but I think it really teaches great thinking skills. Like Miguel, I don't know if you studied design when you were in school, but it was one of my favorite, art class was always one of my favorites. And we really, really think that a laser can be beneficial. If it's ever something you want to learn more about, we urge you to get in contact with your local Trotec. Like Miguel sort of mentioned, now that we've got all the individual pieces of his Christ the Redeemer separated, he's going to be cutting and engraving them. We would love to hear some suggestions from you guys of potentially some fantasy settings. You saw that Western one that we saw on Etsy. I'll warn you that Miguel was messing around with a sort of Castle and Dragon fantasy one during the week. That was pretty cool. If you want to see, I don't know, Eiffel Tower, Mount Rushmore, what's a landmark near you, or a really cool icon or something that we could challenge Miguel to put together here. He's only passed 20 minutes of the stream so far, so he's got lots of time left. Let's maybe throw him a curveball. Miguel, was there any reason behind choosing Christ the Redeemer initially? Was it because it was Brazilian, or was it because it was an easy silhouette to read? I assume that's something you kind of have to keep in mind for shadow boxes.
Yeah, you got it. It's all three of them. It's because it's from my birth country, because it's easy and recognizable, and it's kind of simple, right? But like in a good way. Let me show you guys how it looks.
Please, yeah, I'm excited.
So first layer looks like this.
Cool.
Now, the back, just for Emil to check it out, just one of the parts here is a little bit burnt, but this is because I cut another one right next to something that I already cut. So the wood was kind of, I don't know, weak or something like that. But this is on those settings that I told you about. And it was one pass, 3 mil, cut perfect. Like I didn't even have to force anything to pop off, it just popped off on its own. And yeah, if you want some settings, those are the ones. Let me see next layer. So now things are going to be way faster.
Well, this is one thing that we should keep in mind about the Rayjet too, is even though the Rayjet represents our smallest machine, it's still got the same sort of speed and quality as all the other Trotec Speedy machines. So just because the other machines are called, Speedies, don't let that lead you astray. We love the Rayjet. The Rayjet's probably, we're with Emil. It's one of our favorite machines. Let me see here. Just scrolling through all the chat suggestions. Could you show us really quick, Miguel, after that finishes cutting, some of the other materials that you're using, some of the other kind of lighter colors of wood? Again, they're all from our veneered wood lines, but
the one that I'm using right now is laser wood veneer. Okay? So it's like a medium shade of
Very
wood.
cool.
Yeah. I use a darker one for the front because I want like to be nicely engraved and all that. So I'm gonna like go clear for the background,
So you're
clearer.
getting gradually lighter and lighter in color as you move backwards through the object, like through the shadow box.
Yep. It's because like I want to give the idea that it's day, right? Like it's daytime and there's a sun and all the stuff. So
I'm excited to see the final project. This is the only trouble with Shadowbox is I have to wait for about 4 different layers to cut, and then I have to kind of watch you put it all together. I assume, so you're using, did I see 3M on the back of the material there? Is that what you're using to sort
yes,
of
this is how I'm
assemble?
gonna do them. Exactly.
Gotcha.
All 3M, which makes it pretty easy, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you think that you're gonna glue all these small pieces, then yeah, it's kind of
fiddly.
yes.
I mean, you guys should know that, like, even this sign that's up behind me, that's just 3M holding that on. It's an incredible stick. As I say that, I'm worried that my comedic timing is going to bring that T down on top of me. But I gotta say, it's pretty strong stuff. We've got huge pieces in our showroom. We'll have to show you the showroom one of these days. But we've got amazing big pieces held up there just by that same 3M adhesive. We highly recommend it. We're not getting too much in the way of suggestions just yet. Guys, anybody who's just tuning in, we'd love for you to throw up a landmark or a location or something that Miguel can make into a shadow box. Even just a thematic one. We saw a Western one or space or sci-fi. I know one again that I would really like to see is still Statue of Liberty. I was trying to think of the name of it. That's probably pretty bad, but Statue of Liberty I think would be really cool. Or Eiffel Tower, just because it's so intricate. I feel like the way that it would work into a shadow box would be really, really beautiful. Are there any other Brazilian landmarks? I'm trying to think of, maybe that shows my ignorance. I don't really know if there's any other.
There's some, but as recognizable as Christ the Redeemer, I doubt it.
So we have a couple of suggestions. Nathbo Games mentions a boat race potentially, and then Glenn Hall mentions Spirit Island in Alberta, which I'm not familiar with. I would love to look up.
A boat race.
A boat race seems cool because you could have multiple boats at different levels.
Spirit Island. Let me see. Alberta.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I want to take a quick look. Do you want to share your screen and we can take a look at Spirit Island really fast?
Oh, this is actually pretty cool.
Oh, the windmills. Little Don Quixote, maybe?
I mean, I don't see any windmills, but like the frames of most of the pictures here is pretty beautiful. So
can you share your screen? I'd love to see.
Yes, I would do that. It's because I'm juggling between like Rayjet Manager and all the stuff.
Absolutely. Listen, guys, don't let Miguel tell you he's not talented.
So this man, this is the one, Spirit Island. This looks pretty cool.
Forgive me, I thought you saw this one. So Emil suggested Dutch windmills potentially. Amy has a forest, which I feel like Spirit Island kind of covers a forest setting in a cool way as well.
Yeah, forest like with pines and mountains and a lake. The only thing is, like, I would like to use a different material for lakes, but let's see if it works with a clear wood. I hope so.
Right. Did you want to do Spirit Island then? It seems like a cool Canadian landmark potentially.
Sure, let's go.
I have a question for you here, Miguel, just while you're finishing up. So Nathbo Games mentions he thought that a shadow box meant spacing between the layers so that light can go through. Would that be a light box or would that be?
No. Yeah, exactly. It's not a light can go through. Shadow box is like a box where you cast shadows, right? So light comes from the front of the box and casts shadows to like the background, which makes it like a 3D effect. Light going through is a light box, so you need translucent materials to do that.
Gotcha.
Let me make sure that everything is lining up correctly. It is. So time for piece number 3.
So you're only just now passing a half an hour. I mean, you've already finished the design. You're literally just cutting out all the different layers.
Yep.
Like we were saying too, guys, one thing to keep in mind is that these wood sheets are 24 by 12, so that Miguel could put 3 or 4 of these on each one and cut out, 4 shadow boxes at the same time if he so chose.
Exactly. You got the whole shadow box like in one go if I want, but yeah. Time it's kind of hard to.
Definitely. So are we saying Spirit Island? I mean, we have We have some upvotes for boat race. We have some upvotes for a few different things. Machu Picchu.
Machu Picchu.
Yeah, the mountain.
Let's see. Maybe a little bit hard for me to do that, like to find a vector for this.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe the boats might be nice. The boat. I know you'll find some vectors of boats that you could layer.
Boat race, though. Boat race. I don't know. I want
to. You think best. We just passed half hour, Miguel. So I feel like you go with your gut, brother.
Yeah, I'm cutting the third piece here, and then first heading Seattle Space Needle with Skyline. Let's see, yeah.
I love that you added the sun in the background. By the way, that's one of my favorite details.
That can look cool, but like I would do it way more lazy than just 4 to look interesting. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna get the
Spirit Island.
Spirit Island. Yeah, it looks cool.
All right, brother.
And all the pictures are like on a flat frame, and I like it.
Perfect. And it's, I mean, it was one I wasn't familiar with. It's really, really beautiful.
And one that I like. This one definitely. So I'm gonna create a new file. Well, I put 2 prints the last.
We have to get Miguel an assistant. This guy does so much back there at the same time. He's designing, he's looking for vectors, questions. He's swapping stuff into the Rayjet. If this isn't proof that he loves you, he's very committed.
There's a challenge for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Last piece, and we are a go. Let me take this out. 13. Here. There. Go. All right. So I'm gonna start putting them together so I can show you the finished product.
Awesome. Just while this is working, I wanted to quickly touch on the software you're using, Miguel, if that's okay. The Rayjet Manager.
Yes.
It's slightly different to what there used to be for the Rayjet. The Rayjet did use a software called Rayjet Commander, but just recently we're introducing an update to the software called Rayjet Manager that is, I mean, almost identical to the job control software that you see with our speedy lasers. If you've ever used Rayjet Commander, you'll see the difference just in, Miguel's using it here, but it's much more robust than the current software is. And it allows you a lot kind of simpler design process. Is that a fair thing to say, Miguel? I feel like it allows you to position things on the bed slightly more easily, and allows you to kind of line up your cuts just perfectly. How have you been working with it for the last week or two?
I mean, it made my workflow like way more efficient than I used to do with the mini manager, the commander, right?
Really?
Because, yeah, I mean, I'm already familiar with job control, right, from using all the speedies, and positioning is probably the hardest part doing a job to make sure, like, especially if it's multi-layered or like it has different engravings on different parts of like a cube or anything like that. Right. And doing that on the mini manager was kind of hard, right? Because you had to always reference your artboard.
Right.
And this one was a blessing, honestly.
So like this project you're doing today would have been much, much tougher with the old software, say for example. Just because you're having to like make sure that the lining, like the way it's aligned is exactly perfect.
Yeah, and I could use some material, lose some material as well, right? Because I'm making sure that I'm cutting all the squares in the corners so I can use the material 4 times, not only like once, right? So it also saves your money.
Sorry to interrupt you. Can you show us sort of the assembly process of what you're doing there? The best I know. So you're using the 3M we were talking about.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you guys in a second as soon as the last one finishes. But nice. Go back here. Stop sharing. All right, so this is how it's looking right now, right? I put the layers here, and as you can see in the back, it's kind of like shiny. This is the 3M after I remove it, right? So I'm gonna show you the last piece. how the 3M is.
The sun.
So 3M's like this, just a tape, and you snip it out of the material. However, this one, since it's the background, I'm not gonna do anything with it. And I did with each layer on this one. So I'm just gonna do this in the center. Yes. All right.
This is tricky.
So there you go. 3D Shadowbox. Can you see that?
Wow. 35 minutes. Yeah, it's a little. Hold on, let me see if I can. This is gorgeous. That turned out really, really nice.
Yeah, and you could put like some clouds and all this stuff, right?
Absolutely.
You can have your imagination run wild with this. So yeah,
And also,
guys.
I mean, we talked about it in the beginning. We love using wood. It's a popular material for this sort of application, but you really could use, I mean, acrylics. You could use plastics if you wanted. You could use a lot of different things. I love how that wood turned out, Miguel. That looks really nice.
And do more layers.
Yeah, true. And remember, too, that 3M that you left on the back, that could be used to mount it to somebody's wall without an issue either. I mean, you could leave that on the back for the customer to be able to then put it up, and you're good to go.
Exactly. It's pretty easy to glue anywhere with this 3M, actually. It's surprisingly sticky. All right, so time for
ranks, please.
Yes, time for Spirit Island, right? Okay, let's go. We're going to fruit pick as fast as I can because I gotta finish this. Fruit pick, forest. See what pops up. Cool. This can be really useful. I just don't know how the
you got about 25 minutes. Yeah, did you want to do like 2 layers? Like one with the island in the front and then like a background layer of trees and forest?
Sure. 2, 3. I think this one would be easier, honestly. Because
I'm always curious how your brain is like dissecting an image like that. Like, tell me about your process right now. What are you thinking in looking at that image?
How many layers, basically? And I think my main thought is like, how do I make the lake? Everything else is easy and straightforward to me, but the lake, like, what layer do I use the lake? Second layer, probably. So I have separate pine trees here if I want to use them, and I'm gonna use this one and see how the shapes are separated. Yeah, I prefer using the separate pine trees.
We touched on this a lot, you guys, but definitely don't hesitate if you're putting together a design to use vector sites like FreePick or like Vecteezy. We do a lot of projects here, and it's something that we can't overemphasize. That I mean, as long as you're crediting the artist or purchasing the vector where needed, it's definitely something you can use and speed up your design process. I mean, for Miguel in this case, obviously speed is sort of a number one indication. He could hand make his vectors and his fonts by hand, but if you're putting something together for Etsy, especially if you're trying to work towards what a client wants from you, they might already have a particular image or a particular font in mind. So yeah, definitely, don't worry about using something like that. If it catches your eye or it inspires you, then, we say go for it.
Yep. And I'm going to show you guys something like, so kind of like the idea of like a huge pine tree in the front. So what I'm going to do is just like the Redeemer, I'm going to leave a pine tree here, kind of too big. Okay, this one here. 3 pine trees and an island. So the second layer, it's going to be tricky because I want the lake.
Lake and engrave the island. Is that sort of?
Do I want to? I'm sorry.
Would you like? Would you make the shape the lake and then engrave the island?
Could be, yes. I'm just thinking like how long it would take to engrave it.
Oh, true.
Okay. Cutting in this case would be faster. I'm gonna put this in another color so I have a better understanding of the layers, right? But this one, I also want the island and the pine trees. So can I use this? Weird. Gonna look weird. I do it. This one. This one's in the pocket. Believe me. Like I know.
I can already see. I can see your brain working. See, this is why you're the designer, brother, because I can already see. I mean, like, I love it. On Spirit Island, the magic of Spirit Island is that all the pine trees look very similar, but if you get close, they're not the same pine tree.
Yeah, they're all the same pine. Or
are they?
I'm really thinking about like, should I engrave this or not? But I'm not gonna think for too long. Let me just see.
Like you say, I think it works as a silhouette. I mean, it's one of the best things about Shadowboxes. I feel like Miguel's explained to me before about how important it is. I think it's an animation principle, kind of, right? That a silhouette of something be readable, like easily legible. So, is that obviously that must be coming into your head when it comes to Shadowboxes, because those trees, even if you're just sort of glancing at them without any detail in the middle, you still know obviously what that is.
That's a good principle to put in everything actually that is graphical, right? It has to be readable from a distance and from up close. Let me see here. This actually would look really cool engraved. Like I can join everything in one shape, but this would look like pretty sweet engraved. And how much like do I have?
20 minutes left, brother. 20 minutes almost on the dot. We got to say that, you guys, I mean, again, we want to remind you that if you get a chance to, if you're enjoying the stream, or if you want to tell us a little bit about your experience with lasers or Trotec, if you want to do the 1 hour challenge yourself during the week, please, we would encourage you to tag us on Instagram. If Miguel has an opportunity this week, we'll try and do sort of a really fancy version of this Shadowbox if we can, and we'll post that up and obviously share that with you guys. But we'd really love to hear from you about, what you think of the stream so far, what you like about the projects we've done so far, what you think we could do to challenge Miguel in the future, anything you've learned from the stream. We'd love to hear your feedback, that sort of thing. Don't laugh. I see you laughing. It looks great, man. It looks good. This is something that, because it's a challenge that we throw at Miguel, we're going to see what we can get done, in the last 20 minutes of the stream. But keep in mind, I mean, a lot of the Shadowboxes we saw on Etsy, they're going for, $200-$300. And, this is something that is highly customizable, as Miguel is sort of making obvious here. If you have family who live in Spirit Hill, or family who live, near the Space Needle, whatever it is, near a boat race, that's something that you could, put together for them custom. And it's also something that you could sell, right, and repeat infinitely. Miguel's going to be able to put together kind of a pretty custom design here in about 20 minutes.
By the way, this is going to be engraved.
You decided, right? You pulled the trigger on the engraving?
Yeah, this is going to be engraved.
Nice. Okay. I trust in you. You're getting lots of, look, you have like hearts and applause and stuff coming from the chat. I think this is people's favorite part of the stream. I think you give a really good educational piece in the beginning, and like it's of high value. I would never want you to question that. But the fact of the matter is, like, this is inspiring for me, and I don't design. So like, it must be inspiring for creative people.
So
I love watching this come together. I can already see, like, it's, if you know Spirit Island, that's already readable. It's slightly more polygonal than the original, but I gotta say, it looks pretty good.
It's a little bit tricky to do in 20 minutes.
Absolutely. More than a little bit tricky, brother.
I need to put the perspective here to start doing the mountains. Because the mountains, we're going to do a hint, because why not?
Yeah.
So this one can be, can I do, how many layers I can do here? Okay, this one. So this is a trick that I'm doing so I can do faster, right? I'm going back and forth. I'm going to do 2 mountains per layer. Actually, okay. I think a little bit more. So it's
one on each side of the image, you mean?
Yes.
I see. Okay.
So no. Let me see how many layers. 1, 2. Actually, it's going to be 4. I'm sorry. It's going to be 4. It has to be. Otherwise, it's going to look like unfinished.
Well, Nate, look, if you can get, it's the same as the Christ Redeemer. If you can get this into the Rayjet in the next 15 minutes, that counts as done. We'll post the finish article up on Instagram so you guys can see it. We'll hopefully be able to post it to the YouTube VOD of this as well. But I mean, once it's in the Rayjet, then it's just a matter of the Rayjet cutting the material. That's no big deal. That doesn't take very long. The big piece is just getting the design done.
And actually, I'm finished, but since I actually did this quite fast, I'm gonna do something else. I'm gonna go back to Trotec and don't kill me, love. Clouds and this some other good stuff here.
You guys need to understand, Miguel and I are often accused of being over ambitious, and I don't think it's that we are over ambitious, but I think you have to look at the raw skill that this man is putting out there right now. You can understand what makes us ambitious. If we're not gonna push, then it's not a challenge.
Okay,
so quick question for you, Miguel, in terms of the finished product.
Yes.
So Deathblow Games is asking if you would need to create a boxer border, or would you sell just the layers glued together? So on the Christ the Redeemer, for example, you had kind of built a sort of frame edging around it. Would you also put it inside of a greater frame, or would you just would you post it up like you had there?
I mean, that is the greater frame, right?
Right.
I don't know if you were here in the beginning, but I told you guys that buying a frame is way easier and way faster. Believe me, like if I was doing this with a frame in my hand, this would be already done. So, by the way, it's finished, right? So the actual design is finished.
That's cool. Can you make the layers? I don't want to force you to fill the layers differently. Can you zoom in a little bit more? Oh, nice. Okay.
So I know they look weird. But everything will make sense. If you can think about this in layers, everything will make sense, right? So now comes the tricky part, which is making this separate to print, right? So for each layer. First layer is going to be the pine tree in the front plus the frame. So we copy this out and then we exclude. No, we have to exclude this one only, right? Manually delete this. Okay, it's done.
I like that we get to the design is done. Now comes the tricky part. So you're creating multiple copies of it so that you can delete out the other layers as you make them. Am I right in saying that?
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I have 8 years of experience when it comes to graphic design. I don't have 8 years of experience when it comes to laser design. So
true.
Yeah, it's tricky for me.
Hey man, should have fooled me.
Okay. This one's here. Exclude.
One thing that's also great about the Shadowbox project, you guys, to keep in mind is also that, for Miguel, he's using all different kinds of our veneered woods. So the settings he's using for one of them is going to be basically the same for all of them. Once he's got the setting for one layer, he's more or less got the settings for all 4 layers. He doesn't have to worry about, changing up his power and speed on the Rayjet. He can just use the same basic cut speed and power for everything, which makes the processing a lot simpler. Also, if he's got the squares pre-cut down to 5 by 5, say for example, he could have all 4 layers sitting in the machine next to one another and run them all at once, realistically.
And I'm getting some curveballs here because the vectors are not working with me.
I was kind of curious. I was watching it happen. What is it? Can you give me a layman's explanation of?
Okay, let me see if I can explain what I did. Is doing the next part. Basically, when you exclude or join a vector, sometimes they can overlap each other, and you won't. The calculations of Illustrator in itself won't be as precise as it should be, right? So, for instance,
you're having to be really, really careful as you.
For instance, this one, see, I can just click a button and everything cuts, right?
Right.
But for some reason, the other one didn't. And this is the tricky part. So sometimes I have to do it manually. Okay. That's fine.
Watch a man cut him unglued in 1 hour. We'll piece him back together with 3M adhesive. It's looking great, Miguel.
Okay.
So will you engrave clouds on the final layer? Is it sort of similar to how you did the sun on Christ the Redeemer?
Yes.
Very cool.
And there we go. Actually, it was 5 layers. I'm sorry, live.
He took his headphones out. Don't worry. You can.
Okay, so let's go. Time to cut.
All right. Still 10 minutes left, brother. 10 minutes left. You got this.
Let me just make sure that this is actually not gonna feel like any. Okay, this is perfect. Whew, let's go. So I'm going to the Rayjet now. I'm going to delete everything that I did because I don't want to lose time doing this. So this is a workflow thing. Rotate. Oh. The first one's going to be dark. I need darker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which one do I use? Actually, I think I'm going to use this one.
Show me, buddy.
So 5. Yeah. I'm going to use wood veneer walnut. Right? Let me show you guys. You can take out the screen sharing and go back to my camera. Here. So I'm going to use one that is already cut because I think I use a lot of the darker ones, but I'm going to use this only for the top layer. Right? So pretty fast.
Really quickly, you guys, while Miguel's getting set up, I'd love to show you, if you want to well, it's just you and me, viewers. I'd love to show you our web store. This is something we're always updating with new products, new deals, all that sort of stuff. Definitely you want to come and check it out week to week, engraving-supplies.ca, available in both Canadian languages. Today we're using a lot of the veneered woods. So show you guys some of the things. Our maple, our bamboo, the birch and cherry, the walnut, the cedar. The walnut's the one he's got in there right now. As he mentioned, 3 millimeters thick and 12 by 24 sheets. 4 sheets of this, like Miguel was using for the earlier design. I mean, we were able to put that earlier design together for $20. So, I mean, your price will be slightly cheaper. That's a general, just sort of list price generalization, but it gives you a good idea. Don't forget, too, that we also have a lot of different plastics and laser materials. We have foams, we have rubbers, we have different metals. We have all kinds of great stuff for you to check out. More than 1,000 products and new stuff coming all the time. I think we're going to be launching some new stuff really, really soon, actually. So any questions about consumables, please don't hesitate, obviously, to throw them in the chat. We'd be really happy to try and answer them for you.
Okay, so as
it's already cut. I can see it cutting.
As I told you guys, you can do more than one of these together in a frame. That's what I'm going to do because I'm going to use the same color for 2 pieces. The second layer and for the last layer.
Nice. So that second layer, is that the one that has the engraving?
Yes. Both have the engraving.
Oh, right, because it's got the... Gotcha.
So let me see where it's sent. So
just a quick mention to you guys, too. Miguel has the ventilation running on that machine and the machine running. He's literally standing next to it, and I mean, I can't hear it. It's really, really quiet. It makes it a really good addition for any sort of, even like a home machine, a hobby machine. He's just got it sitting on a table next to his desk there, but also good in a production space, an industrial space. It's hobby size with the industrial quality of the other sort of speedy machines. Like a kid on Christmas morning. I can just see you peeking in at the edge of the camera.
Yes, I'm just worried about the time. Like, the one says it's going to take 20 minutes, but it's not. I'm absolutely sure it's not.
Corey has a great comment here that I want to pass by you, Miguel. He mentions that once you have the design finished, like the box design, and you work out any of the issues, the cost goes down and your profit goes up because you're able to sort of reuse that design.
Thanks, Emmy. I love that you guys are here supporting us as well.
Yeah, we're really excited. Thank you for coming back again this week. Corey, I wanted to mention, you're exactly right. That's something you'll see a lot on Etsy is once people have a design put together, it's something the laser really excels at actually too, because there's no sort of manual dexterity required in the operation of the laser itself. Once you plug in the settings and press play, that job is going to come out exactly the same every single time you run it. So if you have a popular product that you're making week in and week out for your return customers, you're able to do it over and over and over and over and over again with everyone coming out exactly the same. So you don't need to worry about, cutting this one too thin, cutting that one too big, whatever it might be, kind of thing, right? The laser is going to be able to duplicate that job for you over and over. And obviously it reduces your time too, the amount of time that it takes to process at that point, because there's no design time after you've put it together the one time. Miguel?
Yes?
I'm very busy, I'm sorry. When you have a chance, can I see that first layer? I know you're still in time. You've still got minutes left. Nice, very cool.
All right, let's go. It's possible. Like, I have 6 minutes to cut these. You know what? I'm gonna make it easier on myself. I'm gonna cut the other one in 2 layers as well, because if everything's done, I can just. Oh man, gotta. Just check here because I think I never engraved on this wood before. I don't really know what material is this, Don. I think it's laser wood veneer, right?
That one looks like that looks like another one of the veneers, possibly the bamboo or
bamboo, exactly. Yeah. Bamboo. So since I never use bamboo, I don't really know how it looks cool. So I'm gonna keep it.
I don't know, man. It looks like it's coming out really, really nicely.
And the other one that I'm gonna use is this one here. It's another veneer. I don't really know.
That one it looks like might be the cherry.
Cherry. Yeah.
I'll back to the store, but yeah, this is the nice thing too, is that especially, this is now my personal taste, but the engraving on a really light colored wood, like the bamboo, like the cherry, I think looks beautiful. We were talking with Emil earlier about that sort of burned quality, but if you look at that Christ the Redeemer that Miguel did earlier, the amount of sort of depth that you create with that sun that's engraved in the background is really, really impressive, I think. Also, don't forget, you guys, the important thing about a machine like this is that hopefully it's making you money. With a design like this, if Miguel he's done the design in, 10, 15 minutes, and now there's maybe 10, 15 minutes of cutting to do, at $60, like we said, for $20 of materials and $10 of opportunity cost, the machine pays for itself in 10 units. So, the idea is we'd like a machine that would make you money. We don't, it's fun to use and we love using it, but at the end of the day, it's really something that's designed to make you money and make you more profitable. And as Corey sort of mentioned, once you have the design done, it's infinitely repeatable. So it's something that you can use kind of over and over and over again. And, people are going to love your products, I'm sure of it. Are you working on setting up those layers again? Because I see the laser working.
Yes, I'm trying to send the files to the manager.
Nice.
And you're there. Okay, cool. And look, I'm pretty sure that's it. Like, I'm gonna show you how I'm putting together now.
Yes.
After I finish those two,
awesome.
But after this one is done, it's just another cut of 4 minutes, and we are a go.
And you've still got a minute and a half left, even in the hour time, and you've basically finished 2 full designs. Lev's gonna be very excited to hear you say you're gonna make it easy on yourself.
Oh man, this was such a cool landscape, and I wanted to, make it a full kind of job.
I feel like you might not have gotten to see this comment from Glenn earlier, but he mentioned, I guess Spirit Island was on the back of an older version of the Canadian $5 bill, and I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. Man.
Okay, it's cutting already. One of the frames.
Cool.
All right. Yeah, now the other frame is already set to go on the Rayjet. The wood that I'm gonna use is already here, so right now we just wait for the end result.
Did you want to show us one of the assembly steps? I guess we're just waiting for this piece to cut out for the next assembly step, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're still within the time. Would you want to show the Christ the Redeemer again? Do you have it kind of handy?
Sure. Let me change the camera here.
Sure.
There we go.
So as you mentioned, it kind of comes with a built-in frame because you've sort of set it up on that first layer.
Yes. But again, it's easier and cheaper probably, I don't know, to buy a frame because you don't need to do the kind of division on vectors from the vector that you're using to
Right.
the frame, right? You
Right.
just cut one on top of the other and go gluing to the background, to the frame itself. Right? So it's pretty easy and pretty fast.
Awesome.
Faster than this, for sure. Like at least it put like 10 to 15 minutes just to create the frames and make sure that they're all in the right position and stuff like that. So
Yeah, because you were saying you were always referencing back to the frame when you were doing the design, right? You were always sort of referencing back to how it's going to sit in
Exactly.
that square.
Exactly. Let me see here how it is. One is almost done, the most complicated one, and now we're going to the other one. Yep, it's almost
Nice.
done, this one. And just one more thing to cut. But everything's separated, the design is done, everything is on the Rayjet manager already, ready to go. And yeah, guys.
Now we're just chilling. Now we're just hanging out. Now we'd love any. I mean, listen, we're always open for any questions.
Yes.
French, English, Portuguese, throw them out there. I think, for Miguel and I, we have our sort of specialties at Trotec, but I mean, you throw us just about any question, and we're willing to try and take a swing. At worst case, we will direct you towards the person that you need. I should quickly mention too, if you have, I mean, we touched on it just very, very briefly in this stream on sort of the ROI and the business aspect, but if that's something you're really interested in, I would absolutely recommend checking out our laser jam sessions on Friday mornings. They start at the exact same time, at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And they have the opportunity to have customers on. They really get to dig into that sort of business and ROI side. It's a fun show, and I don't just say that because my boss hosts it. I think it's I think it's really worth your time if you're thinking about starting a small business, or if you have a small business that uses a laser. There's a lot of great info in there. Just this last week, we had a great customer on who runs a small business called D Nice Customs, and they do custom, super high-end sneakers. It was really, really cool. I'm going to undersell it. Definitely check out the video on YouTube if you have some time. It's absolutely worth your time. What's going on in your end, Miguel?
Ooh, I think I'd rather. Sorry?
A lot of beefs. What's
I'm taking out the materials and putting the new ones, but I gotta make sure that this wood is the right size. This is like 12. Oh, of course. I was rushing here, and that's why it didn't work. All right, so
Nathpo Games asked really quickly. We just passed the 1 hour, Miguel. So I want to say, listen. I mean, applause. Really nicely done. I knocked the mic. My bad. I wanted to touch on Nathpo's question really quick. Let me share my
do you want me to
screen again in case
okay.
anybody wasn't here earlier. Yeah, just very, very quickly, if you don't mind. I wanted to show this again. So with a 4-layer piece like the Christ the Redeemer one that Miguel did, material cost at sort of list price. Well, if you're a signed up Trotec customer, you'll actually pay less than list. Don't tell them, it's a secret. But at list price, his material is about $20. We're giving him $40 an hour sort of price tag for his labor. So, at a 15-minute design, $10. Your cost is probably about $30. Most of the examples we saw on Etsy were selling for upwards of $150 to $200. We've priced this one at $60. Miguel's only made a few shadow boxes. Maybe he's new to the shadow box game. Maybe he's earlier on in his shadow box career. But that still means he's earning $30 profit on every single piece. So, with a Rayjet that costs $300 a month to lease, in 10 units, the Rayjet's already paid for itself. You know what I mean? As I said before, it's a machine designed to make you money, not to cost you money. So, you can break down your own ROIs, and we'd be happy, obviously, to help you with that. If that's something you guys like seeing, is these sort of breakdowns, then we'd be excited to keep doing it for you. But right now, I know you're all really excited to see the finished project that Miguel's putting together.
But I can show you the assembly, but one of the pieces that goes in the middle, it's cutting right now. However, it's looking like this.
Already.
I didn't glue anything. It's just me holding it. It's like all kind of loose
behind the scenes.
Yeah. But it looks like this already.
Really good. That's an hour and 5 minutes, guys. I want to remind you again, that's an hour and 5 minutes with the finished Christ the Redeemer and this piece that's going to be 5 layers. I mean, Miguel, I'm impressed. I know you don't need me to tell you that. I'm impressed.
Yeah, look, and I believe that if you're doing something custom, like you guys asked me to do, the Spirit Island, to customer can always charge a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to do the design again and all that stuff.
It
So
just goes to
you're
show
not
that
repeating anything.
once you've got those design principles down, you can ask your customers for whatever sort of custom icon or art it is that they want to create. You can charge a design fee in your business, obviously, and make yourself even more profitable. Design time you want to set sort of on a person-to-person basis, obviously, but that's premium work. You should be rewarded for that. We have a nice comment from Jeff. Good job, dude. Let's go. Not the most. Well, good job. Thank you guys so much. Also, I mean, really a huge thank you for tuning in, and also for your suggestions. You guys really make this stream special every week. So we really appreciate your tuning in and sharing it, and we hope
We're
you'll try.
always looking forward for this, like every week.
100%. And keep in mind, too, like Miguel's looking forward to it, and he's the one with the hard job. I'm in here saying silly things.
What hard? This is fun, dude.
I'm glad to hear that. Let's go.
This is the back part.
All right.
Okay, so this is how it's gonna look, right? At the end. So I should have used like a darker material, I think, for this layer, but well, that's up to whoever's doing it. I'm pretty sure you're not gonna be doing this on a clock, right? On 20 minutes, like, let's go, we gotta find the material, we gotta do the design. So I'm gonna show you how I assembled this actually.
Please.
I snipped the 3M and my hands all like full of charcoal or anything. And you just take it out. You don't need to worry about the pine tree, because this is not going to be glued to anything. So might as well just go to the second layer, and you have to put the frames together. There we go. It's glued. Really easy. And for the second layer, same thing. You have to take out the tape. You go to the third, the fourth, until you get to the background. And it's pretty fast as well.
Yeah, I gotta say, and it also sort of goes to show, I mean, one of the advantages of leaving in the frame is that it lets you line up each layer, I mean, really, really quickly and easily.
Yep. Yeah, because the reference is always a square, right? So it's like less room for mistakes.
Can I ask you, so this one is 5x5, right? Could you scale this based on what a customer asked you? So if they wanted, 10x12 or whatever, you could, the same principle, right? Just larger.
Yeah, vectors are scalable, like mathematical things, right?
Right.
They always can like expand and like shrink as much as you need them to.
Cool.
There's no.
You're not going to get blurriness or pixelation as you like warp them and make them bigger or smaller.
Exactly. All right. This one's just one more piece to go, and there we go.
That's gorgeous, man. Yeah, full screen. Really nicely done. I love the clouds. The clouds turned out so good.
So
well done. I'm impressed.
This mountain here like could be a different color and should be a different color. So it like popped up better. But there you go. All glued together. 5 layers. 20 minutes. 20 minutes of design and putting in the Rayjet, of course. To run, it took like 15 minutes, I think, of cutting. One time, 15, 10 minutes.
Yeah, about that. I mean, you're only 10 minutes past the hour. I mean, that's great, man. That's really, really nice.
There you go.
Ta-da.
Challenge done.
Another week down. Miguel, thank you so much, man.
Thank you. And thanks to everybody that came and saw the stream and gave the ideas.
Glenn has a great suggestion. Like you sort of mentioned earlier, if you have a preset frame ahead of time, it can make this project even easier, I guess, right?
Hmm. Yes, absolutely. And because you can just do the inside part and just keep gluing on top of the other, so it's way faster and way easier, and you don't have to deal with the shapes on Illustrator because you have to sometimes. Can you stain that wood? I don't get the stain with what.
So yeah, Jeff is asking. He's going, if you cut out the material and then you put either some wood stain or some paint on it, so that you could allow maybe your customers to personalize it even more when it gets to them.
Absolutely. One of the ideas, the inspirations that came for me to do the 3D shadow box was one that was made with acrylic and UV printed for like retro kind of Super Nintendo games, and was
Yeah.
selling for $230, $300.
Yeah.
It's like pretty simple when it comes to the technique of cutting in, but it was printed, so it's really really cool, right? I mean, of course, we cannot do that in 20, 30 minutes, but yep, you can. You absolutely can.
Well, and from Glenn's point before, where he says like they've got a really nice basic frame at say like an IKEA or a Walmart or whatever, a $3 frame can add sort of a premium effect to your product, and allow you to sort of upcharge even more, even if it's just something simple. Because
And you can add more layers. This is really important because as it has a little bit of wasted material when you do with this, right? Like all the cut part inside, it's going to the trash. If you're doing with the frame, you can just keep going and doing more and more layers,
right.
more intricate pieces, and charge more. And all that for what, $3?
Well, and the design principles are still the same, right? The same stuff you showed us apply for a 10-layer thing as much as they do for a 3-layer thing.
Or yes, you could provide the project and pieces for your customers to pin and assemble at home. Of course, absolutely. I'll do that for you guys. I'm gonna put it even in like each piece so you know what comes first and what doesn't. But the actual challenge here is you do one yourself. Like you can see the video, you can rewatch it again, see how I did it. I think I explained it pretty well, and I hope so. And if you don't, and if I didn't, please contact us. You can send an email to Trotec Academy. What's the actual
Academy at troteclaser.ca.
Yeah, Academy at troteclaser.ca.
Got you.
With questions about that, and I can answer you. Simple question.
So,
always happy.
I'm going to post it in the chat here. If you are at all interested in training with Miguel, we offer training for customers in Canada. Definitely contact us at academy at troteclaser.ca. And to his point, if you have any questions, post them under the YouTube video, get us on Instagram or Twitter or anything like that. We'll try and get back to you. I mean, we've got the I always go to like, you're on my other side, then this is so confusing. But yeah, feel free to get in touch with us. We'd be really excited to hear from you guys. I think that will probably do it for this week. But again, thank you all so much for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you again next week. We'll try and tip the hat maybe ahead of time this week on Instagram if we can for what our next project is going to be. We'll get you guys thinking about some themes, and we'll get ready to try and blow you away.
We're gonna do rotary.
Oh, rotary!
Yes.
You heard it here first. We're gonna do rotary next week.
Yeah, exclusive thing for the Rayjet. I mean, when it comes to hobby lasers, I believe I don't think there's like a lot of hobby lasers out there with rotary tools. I think we're the only one, right? And we're gonna do a rotary engraving in something, maybe a bottle, maybe glass, maybe wood. I don't really know yet.
Cool.
What's gonna be like the main theme? So prepare the thematic things for whatever engraving you guys want me to do.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you guys so much again, once again.
Thank you, everybody. See you guys next week.
Bye-bye.